The employees at this company work 24 hours a day. Whenever they feel completely exhausted, their supervisors send them into a special elevator. As soon as the doors close and reopen, the woman instantly feels refreshed and energized. Even her clothes appear perfectly renewed. What is even stranger is that every Friday after entering the elevator, she suddenly jumps straight to Monday morning. Even though she never experiences weekends or holidays, her body never seems to break down. Even after working non-stop for a month, she still feels full of energy. Ever since joining this twisted company, Anna has tried countless times to leave, but every time she opens the door at the end of the hallway, she somehow ends up right back where she started. One day she finally asks her supervisor Mark how she can quit the company. Her co-workers are shocked to hear it, because no one has ever dared think about resigning. Before joining the company, every employee undergoes a procedure that separates their consciousness, creating two distinct identities. One lives life outside, while the other spends its existence working inside the company. Although both identities share the same body, their memories remain completely separate. Since Anna is currently her work self, she feels as if she has never left work, and if she resigns, her work identity will be erased, meaning the version of her standing here will cease to exist. At first Anna hesitates, but she soon grows tired of the repetitive work and soulless co-workers, so she firmly submits a resignation request. To her surprise, a decision arrives the very next day. Mark can hardly believe it. He has never seen a resignation processed so quickly. Anna becomes excited, thinking her nightmare is finally over, but to her shock, the resignation is denied, because her outside self refuses to quit. Anna breaks down on the spot, and rushes into the restroom. Mark becomes concerned, unaware that she is secretly planning something. After waiting an entire hour, afraid something may have happened, Mark finally pushes the door open, and immediately notices what she has been doing. She believes the company never delivered her resignation request to her outside self, so she tries to pass along a message. Mark gently explains that the elevator contains advanced scanners, and anyone caught carrying written messages out of the company faces severe punishment. But Anna refuses to give up. Back at her desk, she writes another note, then folds it and hides it inside a pen cap, before sealing it with a strip of tape. She quickly gets up and heads toward the break room, planning to swallow it with water. Suddenly that familiar voice spoke from behind her again, but Mark did not expose her on the spot. He simply explained that even words hidden inside the body could still be detected by the scanners. When that happened, the company would use special procedures to forcefully remove them from her body. With no other choice, Anna spit it back out. Since she could not get past the elevator scanners, she had to find another way to send a message. One day the company organized a tour of its museum. Because of a disagreement over management, Mark got into an argument with his supervisor. Taking advantage of the distraction, Anna ran off again. Mark immediately chased after her, but he was one step too late. Anna grabbed a fire extinguisher off the wall and smashed the hallway window with all her strength, then stretched both herself and the note outside, hoping to switch back to her outside self and see the message. Just as she was about to succeed, Mark arrived in time and pulled her back. Because Anna had violated company policy, she was sent to a dark room for a terrifying punishment. The supervisor told Anna to place her hands in a template on the desk, then sat across from her and activated a device. She could only leave the room after reading the apology statement displayed in front of her. Though she hated the idea, Anna reluctantly began reading it aloud, but after she finished, the voice analysis system detected that her apology was not sincere. The manager immediately ordered her to read it again. Anna repeated the statement hundreds of times, yet she still failed every test. When quitting time arrived, the supervisor finally sent her into the elevator. 2 seconds later, Anna was back at work again, and forced to continue reading the apology. This cycle continued for 3 straight days, until Anna's mental defenses completely collapsed. She began crying while sincerely apologizing. Her emotional confession finally passed the test. When she returned to the office, Anna was almost like a walking corpse. The determination in her eyes had completely vanished. One day she discovered a paper cutter beneath the printer, and a shocking idea suddenly came to mind. She kicked open her boss's office door, demanding permission to record a resignation video for her outside self, or she would cut off 4 of her own fingers. Since both identities share the same body, if her work self lost several fingers, the company would have no explanation for her outside self. Anna's threat finally worked. She successfully recorded a message expressing her wish to resign. Soon she received a response video from her outside self, but what it contained left her stunned.
I am a person. You are not. I make the decisions. You do not. And if you ever do anything to my fingers, know that I will keep you alive long enough to horribly regret that.
Her outside self believed Anna was merely a separated fragment of consciousness, and not an independent person at all. Hearing this, Anna finally reached her breaking point, so she decided to teach her outside self a lesson. After work that day, she hid a coil of wire in her sleeve. Then she grabbed a trash can from the corner. Once inside the elevator, she removed the ceiling panel. She decided to hang herself, and leave the pain of suffocation for her outside self to endure. Without hesitation, she kicked the trash can away. As the elevator descended, the personalities began to switch. The outside self had barely awakened before finding herself hanging in midair. She struggled desperately but could not make a sound. To keep employees from crossing paths in their personal lives, the company staggered everyone's everyone's departure times by 5 minutes, which meant Anna would be completely on her own during that time. Next it was Mark's turn to leave work, but the moment he opened the elevator doors he was stunned by what he saw. The executives rushed over as soon as they heard the news and rescued Anna. Judging by how nervous they looked, she seemed to have a very unusual identity outside the company. Although Mark was deeply worried about Anna, he was still pushed into the elevator and sent down. As the switch completed, his anxious expression instantly disappeared. His outside self had no idea what had happened upstairs. He casually greeted the security guard and headed home. The next day Mark returned to work. As the switch occurred, his expression immediately turned anxious again. He was extremely worried about Anna, but things had changed. The executives told him Anna had been taken to the hospital, although her bruises were severe. Fortunately she was not in danger. Even so, Anna's outside self still refused to quit. Mark was shocked. Wasn't she afraid another accident could happen? Before long Anna returned to work after leaving the hospital. Every dangerous object had been locked away, and she was assigned a very simple task. A screen filled with countless numbers. Whenever she moved the cursor over them, she could somehow sense whether they were good or bad. All she had to do was delete the ones that felt wrong. One day something strange happened. Several numbers began growing larger and larger, as if they were about to leap off the screen. Anna carefully deleted every one of them. Only then did she relax. She became curious about what those numbers really represented, so she discussed it with her co-worker Petey. Since he had never seen the outside world, he believed humanity now lived deep beneath the ocean, and the numbers they searched for and eliminated were simply trash floating in the sea. But Anna had a disturbing thought. What if those numbers represented people? That same night, Petey's work self suddenly woke up in the outside world. The executives had activated him after hours and ordered him to keep working. It turned out Petey had taken a very important company card, and they needed to know where it was immediately. Petey finally remembered that during a tour of another department, he had casually pocketed an unremarkable card out of curiosity. The supervisor assumed someone had paid him to steal it, and even offered 10 times more money if he would reveal who hired him. But Petey insisted he took the card purely out of curiosity, and had hidden it behind the lid of the third bathroom stall. Just then a young boy rushed over yelling "Dad!" Petey was completely stunned. He had no idea he even had a son. The supervisor immediately made an emergency call, and switched Petey back to his work self. Then he walked away with a smile. After that Petey could no longer focus on work. He spent every day imagining how wonderful his outside life must be. To lift his spirits, the supervisor arranged a special party. For the first time the lifeless office was filled with joy. Even so, Petey remained unmoved. When he saw the supervisor dancing in a screen reflection, he jumped up and slammed him to the ground, demanding to know his son's name. Fortunately the others stepped in and pulled them apart. After getting back up the supervisor angrily declared that he would report the incident to upper management and cancel the office party for everyone. Once he left, Petey quickly told the group that their work selves could actually be activated outside the office. The company called it overtime contingency mode. Then he shared everything he had experienced, but if he wanted to see his son again, he would need to trigger that emergency mode once more. At that moment Anna had an idea. If the company could wake them up in the outside world, then all they needed was the method, and they could do the same thing themselves. The group, whose memories consisted only of work, quickly agreed. They were determined to see the outside world. At that moment Mark pulled out a security access card. He had discovered it in his pocket when he arrived that morning, although he had no idea where it came from. It could be the key to their escape plan. During lunch break the two quietly entered the security room. It contained surveillance feeds for the entire building. In one corner Anna spotted the names of everyone in their department. These devices were likely what controlled their personality switches. After studying the emergency activation manual, they learned that to trigger a switch, someone had to remain inside the company. Petey immediately remembered the manager making a phone call, which must have been notifying someone to operate the controls. Since he had already seen the outside world, Petey volunteered to stay behind and give them the chance to escape. Soon the day of the plan arrived. Everyone nervously waited for quitting time. If this plan failed, their work selves could be erased forever, which meant losing everything, including their lives. Mark looked at Anna with reluctance, but she simply turned and stepped into the elevator. Mark felt a wave of sadness, unsure whether this goodbye would be forever. According to the plan, Irving stayed behind on duty. After everyone left, he rushed straight to the security office. After a complicated sequence of steps, he successfully activated the system. The moment he pressed the button, all three innies switched on at once. Outside the office, Irving was a painter, yet every day he worked on a strangely unsettling painting. When Mark woke up, he found himself beside the company supervisor. He had no idea why she was with him, so he pretended to feel dizzy and asked to use the restroom.
I think it's the other way.
Mark's unusual behavior immediately raised her suspicions. Now he needed to find someone he could trust completely. When Anna woke up, she found herself at a gala event. She couldn't understand why she was dressed so elegantly, until she saw the promotional poster on the screen, and suddenly realized the truth. Her real identity was the CEO's daughter. She had undergone the severance procedure and joined the company, all for today's publicity event, to promote the technology nationwide. They needed Anna to speak as a first-hand example. A woman then told her that once she got on stage, she only needed to say she viewed her innie as a sister, because the audience loved hearing that. While wandering around, Mark noticed a woman comforting a baby. Judging from the way she treated him, they seemed extremely close. After thinking for a moment, he cautiously asked her a question.
How's our baby?
I'm gonna assume you mean that in the It Takes a Village sense, and she's good. She's hungry.
After answering, she turned and went into another room to feed the baby. Mark realized she was actually his sister, which meant he could finally tell her everything. Just then the supervisor approached, asking why he had suddenly become so tense when they hugged earlier. Mark quickly claimed it was probably because the party was crowded, then tried to leave, but she stopped him again.
Tell me more.
I'm so sorry. I'm on uncle duty for my sister, so I'll be right back. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Miss Cobell.
The moment she heard that, her expression changed completely. Because Koval was only her alias inside the company, she instantly realized something was terribly wrong, and immediately contacted Mr. Milchick, before rushing toward the gala. If Anna was currently her innie self, disaster could be moments away. When she burst into the venue, she grabbed Anna at once, and confirmed that it was indeed her work self. She completely panicked, and threatened that if Anna caused trouble, her innie would be erased, and her co-workers would be subjected to the harshest punishment imaginable. Even so, once Anna stepped onto the stage, she still chose to reveal the company's darkest secrets. Perhaps this was the only chance she would ever have.
I'm an innie, and everything they told you about Severance is a lie. We're not happy. We're miserable. They torture us down there. We're prisoners!
At that very moment, Milchick burst into the security room and tackled Irving, switching all three of them back to their work selves. And that concludes Season 1.